Do you have that critical voice in your head which just pulls you down whenever you seem to be making progress, or just anything goes wrong it starts giving you abuse, or perhaps consciously you recognise that's happening to you? Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to overcome being self-critical, so stay tuned. Welcome to my channel with me, Jonny, helping you boost your self-esteem and confidence through simple habits. For a range of topics around self-esteem and confidence, you can subscribe to my channel or hit the bell to be notified every time I release a new video every Tuesday and Thursday. Being self-critical is very, very common. You are not alone if you're being self-critical. I've been self-critical, I'll go into that in a minute. But as human beings, our brain is naturally negative. It's wired to keep us alive. And because it's wired to keep us alive, it will look out for problems as a result. And therefore, it tries to keep us safe by keeping us away from these so-called dangers, when so-called dangers are typically what so-and-so might think of you, rather than an actual danger of a wild animal jumping out at you, unless of course you are in the jungle and a wild animal could jump out at you, but hopefully not. But our brain tries to keep us safe, and therefore it will say things to keep us in our comfort zone and away from these dangers. So being self-critical is perfectly normal. It happens to everyone. However, there are techniques and odd techniques or tips that I'm going to share with you today to help reduce that. In terms of my story on being self-critical, I share it a lot in my latest book, The Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset, where in early years and into my 20s, I'm 29 now, I would constantly criticize myself. And as a teenager, as a kid, I sometimes burst into tears on how nasty I was being to myself. And I share this in my book, quite personal, but actually I got so self-critical that I actually harmed myself physically, not to a severe degree, but I started to hurt myself a little bit when I was kind of in my earlier 20s, because I really didn't like myself. And that's how severe it got. But now I'm really just complimenting myself, praising myself over and over again, and I teach and coach people to do the same. So that's why I wanted to share these tips today. Okay, so the first one is talking to your inner child for just 5 minutes each evening, ideally before you go to bed, or in the morning. Now what this means, this is an exercise I picked up from a spiritual psychology workshop, and it's really just talking to that 3 or 4 year old version of you within you, because we have this child version within us. And imagine if you taught nastily some of the things you said to a 3 or 4 year old. They probably react by bursting into tears, getting really, really upset. And that inner child's within you. And when I realised this, I got really upset of how nasty I was talking to myself. And I started talking to myself with compassion. Now, you may have kids, you might not have kids. I don't have kids. But imagine how you would talk to a 3 or 4 year old typically. You wouldn't start shouting abuse when they hadn't done anything wrong. Well, I hope you wouldn't shout abuse. If they had done something wrong, you'd be given, appropriate words to tell them off. But that's how you're talking to yourself. And when I started talking to the 3 or 4 year old version of me, I'm closing my eyes because I'm sort of visualizing it now, I started having that better relationship with myself. So for just 5 minutes, visualize yourself having a conversation with a 3 or 4 year old version of you. You're okay. I'm sorry for anything nasty I said. We're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And that really helps you like yourself and reduce that over criticism that you're giving yourself. Tip number 2 of the odd tips to reduce your self-critical nature is to speak to yourself on the phone like you're speaking to a friend. Now, this exercise, just again 5 minutes in your day, pick up your phone and ideally go out in public, because again, that can increase even more confidence. People will not know this, but you're going to be on the phone to yourself. You're just going to put it to your ear and you're going to be walking like you're having a normal conversation. You're not ringing anyone, you're just talking to yourself. And you're talking to yourself like you're comforting a friend, like someone who's been upset by something or finding a difficult time. Imagine talking to them, but you're actually talking to yourself. You're giving yourself this advice. And in terms of, oh, what if people look at me? People won't notice. People are too busy on their own phones, in their own worlds, in their own heads, listening to their music to notice these kind of things. But if you're really uncomfortable, you can do it in your own home, but ideally not. We're trying to push your comfort zone here. But going out and then talking to yourself, talking it through is really going to help. Now, if you've got really personal things, you don't even have to say them out loud. You can say, what I'd advise is doing this, this, and this. And just talking through your problems to yourself and talking yourself through like, you're okay, you're going to be okay, is going to be, you're talking to yourself, and that's going into your subconscious, and therefore you're going to feel better as a result. And my final tip is create, the first part of this isn't so odd, but create a list of 50 things, minimum 20 things, ideally 50, things you like about you or good about you or things you've achieved. And they can be anything. They can be like, you were nice to someone the other day, you're always polite, you're always helping out other people, you get out of bed on time, you go to work, you work hard, you've got a good home, you've worked hard for this, you're very courageous, you're very resilient, anything. Those are just examples I'm rolling off from the top of my head. But what you're going to do, each time you criticize yourself or say something not so good, you're going to apologize to yourself, now that's the odd bit, and say, it's not odd, you should be doing it. Basically, these sound odd, but they're just tips I've used to feel good, that I picked up from various learning and sort of learnt myself. Now, you're going to say sorry to yourself every time you criticize yourself. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Like, say for example, you said, I'm an idiot, I'm so useless. You immediately catch yourself, and it's going to take practice, but when you do it over and over again, you'll get used to it. And I catch myself saying the odd thing, but I immediately apologize to myself and start saying the nice things to myself. So if you catch yourself saying something nasty, say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Again, you can imagine you're talking to the 3 or 4-year-old version of you. And then read 5 things you like about yourself from that list that you've made. You can carry it around in a physical form or on your phone, but just keep doing that over and over again. My question for you today is, what do you find yourself criticizing yourself for the most? Just drop your thoughts in the comments below. And I've just shared those odd tips, but there's one kind of overarching one that could help with all 3 of these. It's to get some kind of accountability to someone else. I do this. I'm accountable to other people. When I say, oh, this is a problem, I'm really struggling with doing this, perhaps I've eaten too much food in the flat, I'm like, right, I'm being accountable to my accountability partner or group, and I'm saying, right, I'm going to eat this amount today, or I'm going to stick to this regime. Sticking to having an accountability partner, as well as having goals and objective, is going to increase your chances of hitting what you want to do by about 80%, studies have shown. So if you want to put those into action and be accountable and not forget them, tell someone you're going to do them, and you can be accountable to them. So that's going to help you be more accountable and actually implement these changes. As I've said, being self-critical is absolutely normal, especially in today's society when we're bombarded with information and comparisons left, right and centre. But you can work on it. Use some of the tips I've said. Make sure you start speaking to yourself positive. Start recognising when you're saying these negative things and correct yourself over and over again. You've got to retrain your brain to do that. If, however, you're really struggling to overcome self-criticism, you've got a lack of confidence, you've got a lack of self-esteem, and you really want to get into those specifics, understand why, and boost that confidence, start going towards what you want, then give me an email, coaching@jonnypardoe.com, where we can look at some one-to-one coaching on your confidence together. I appreciate you for watching this video all the way to the end, so thank you very much. Once again, if you want more content around self-esteem and confidence, then you can subscribe to my channel or hit the bell to be notified every time a new video comes out. Every Tuesday and Thursday. and be sure to give a like if you enjoyed this video today. My final message before you go, I hope you have a great day, but never skip Self-Esteem Day, and I'll catch you soon.